What's up, guys? Welcome to Auto Talks US. This is officially going to be the first video sort of in this series. A little bit about myself. I'm an automotive journalist and photographer. I've been doing that for about 8 years. Love racing, love cars, love Ferrari. And I got into sim racing this year. Around the COVID-19 pandemic area, I've been building a simulator, getting parts and things like that. So I'm going to start reviewing the equipment that I use to help other people make their decisions whenever it comes time to build your simulator. We're going to start out with this right here, the Thrustmaster 599XX EVO 30 steering wheel wrapped in Alcantara. The reason that I want to start with this is because this is the first thing that has showed up to my door that I ordered out of my equipment, other than the racing seat, which is right over there. So this steering wheel right here, let's go ahead and talk about it a little bit. First things first, this is metal. I know a lot of people want a high quality steering wheel whenever they get started on sim racing. So a big thing for me was the quality of the build, because I know that I'm going to be thrashing around pretty heavily. So this is metal. This is a stitched Alcantara suede material wrapped over what I assume is probably metal or plastic. And then this is where all the feedback is going to come through as well. So when you're actually racing, you want to be able to feel a lot of the road, you want to feel a lot of the track, the circuit basically that you're racing on. So it does have a really good metal feel. Now, immediately moving on from the pro of the material, we're going to move on to a con of the material, and that's the quick release. The quick release right here is plastic. I don't know what kind of plastic it is. It's decent, but for something that attaches to a wheelbase, it's gonna have several newton meters of torque going through it. You're gonna be thrashing it around as you're driving. This should have probably been metal, similar to the Fanatic and the Simicubes and all the other higher end sim wheel brands, I guess. But then again, $200 versus $400, sometimes more. So this is plastic. It's not a big deal. Some people have gotten a year plus out of their Thrustmaster wheels, so I'm not that much concerned about that. I'm pretty careful with my stuff. Now all the buttons, they do work. These are all entirely functional, and depending on what game you are running, you can set them up accordingly for various commands in the car. If you're racing Formula 1 right off the bat, this is probably going to be your DRS button. I can already tell that a lot of these are going to have different things, right, that a driver might need to do. Power levels, engine modes, MGUK, hybrid units, things like that. You can use all of these buttons to program whatever your sim game is going to allow you to do. Now let's talk a little bit about this suede right here. So if you guys are unfamiliar with Alcantara and suede in general, especially in the automotive side of usage, our hands have oils. Suede hates skin oil. So when you're going to be racing with this wheel, I would personally recommend wearing some gloves, wearing some racing gloves. I know it sounds silly. You're in your house racing a virtual car. Why should you wear gloves? Well, let me tell you why. If this suede gets skin oils on it, it's going to become shiny and it's going to become a little bit stiff and rough. It's not going to have this fuzzy sort of feel to it, and you're effectively ruining the material. On the box here, on this lovely cardboard box that the wheel came with, somewhere on it, I don't remember where, it does say right here, genuine Alcantara. It says that it is hand stitched, avant-garde material, XYZ, Ferrari, blah, 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 but it is real Alcantara, and with that being said, you should treat it like real Alcantara. If you find a race car in real life that has an Alcantara steering wheel, you're always going to see the driver wearing gloves. This is no different. This is a high quality product and you should treat it as such. So definitely wear gloves when you actually use this. Now let's move on to the back, the paddles. These are the same paddles that you find in the TMX. Recognize these guys? These are in the TMX. The same ones, they're metal, they feel good. I did like them in the last wheel. Here though, it takes a little bit more of a movement in your finger to actually get a gear selection or a shift. Maybe that's just the wheel is designed. I personally don't mind. Whenever I shift and I'm driving, I drive pretty violently. I've got a very Fernando Alonso approach to corner entry and cornering exits. So I'm pretty violent with the steering wheel as I'm driving, and I don't mind smashing these paddles down in the heat of the moment. And I think a lot of you guys are going to be the same way. If you're out there, you know, trying to set a qualifying time, or you're racing on an, you know, in an actual league race or career, whatever, you're going to be giving it your all, and the wheel has to withstand that. So I think they made this amount of travel here specifically like that, so that the spring inside, or whatever the mechanism that actually is working, doesn't get overloaded with stress. These are really solid paddles, and I'm definitely going to be thrashing around on this wheel pretty significantly. It is a scale wheel, so it's not 100% the exact same size. It's an 8 to 10 scale. From here to here, it's probably about 12 inches in diameter. Obviously, you have the flat bottom, which is basically the way the real car is set up. And you got this lovely Ferrari badge right in the middle, which for me, that's awesome. Some people cover it up with something else. Racing line in the middle. That is very signature of a race car. If you guys aren't familiar with why that stripe is there, it's to make sure that the driver knows that his steering wheel is centered. And when you're getting ready to go into a corner, you can actually sort of use that as a guide for whatever racing line you're trying to follow. What else can we talk about? Really, it's a pretty simple wheel. It doesn't have too many commands. It definitely doesn't have an LED display or anything like that. This is entirely sort of a information-free steering wheel, but like I said before, it feels really good. It's solid. If you guys could feel the weight, you could tell that it's a pretty good sized steering wheel, and I can't wait to use it. So most of my reviews moving forward are going to be equipment reviews. As things start to show up, I'm going to focus on the pedals, I'm going to focus on the rig itself, and I'm also going to make a video of me putting the rig together. The SimLab 8020 extrusion rig is a simulated rig that most people want to get, unless they get, you know, a deal on a different one. The GT Omega is pretty good. There's a lot of really good brands out there, but for the most part, I think the GT1 and the P1X, I think that's what it's called, are the two sort of best aluminum, sturdy, professional level sim rigs. Now, I do have a racing seat over here that I'm going to make a separate video on, because with seats, I mean, sky's the limit. You can get a formula seat, which is sort of like a laying down position bucket. You can get an open wheel racing, or I'm sorry, a GT racing seat, which is similar to what I have. It's a fixed back NRG seat. And then you got brackets, sliders, anything you can think of. So as I start to accumulate my collection of equipment and hardware, I'm going to be doing reviews for you guys, so that whenever you're building yours, you can have something to reference, or something to compare to if you already have a sim rig and you're just wanting to get information on other products out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed the review of this wheel. I'll leave a link in the description where you can buy it. And yeah, good luck.